This is the Two Scrappy Chicks podcast, where life is messy, the stories are real, and we dare to talk about it anyway. Hi everyone. I'm so glad that you decided to join me here again today. It's been a while since my last episode. I guess there's just been so many topics that I wanted to dive into, and time and circumstances just really had me focused in other areas. And I realized that during this whole process, I was giving myself permission to address the areas in my life that I felt, needed my undivided focus and attention. And even just a few short years ago, I would have made some very different decisions based on what others wanted and expected from me. I would have been overly concerned about everyone else's happiness and comfort, about whether they felt that what I was doing was the right thing to do, and whether or not I believed that if they thought that what I was doing was good enough. Today, however, is a very different story because to say that I'm no longer that woman is an understatement. I want to encourage all women who have always put the needs and wants and expectations of others first, waiting for their approval and permission before doing or saying anything, to give yourself permission to begin the journey back to yourself and find out who you really are, what you really need and want, and then find the ways that you can honor yourself every day, one step at a time. As the saying goes, if all you can do is crawl, then start crawling. Today's episode is called The Woman I Became When I Stopped Asking for Permission. Because for so many years, many of us were taught directly and indirectly that we absolutely needed the approval of others before we could do anything in our own lives. Speak up, take up space, permission to leave a situation or a relationship, to start over, to change our minds, and of course, permission to even want more for ourselves, and permission to become someone different than the people around us expected us to be. And somewhere along the way, many women learned to measure their choices through the reactions and expectations of others. Are they going to understand me? Are they going to approve of me? Am I going to disappoint them? Are they going to think that I'm selfish? But one of the most powerful moments in a woman's life is when she finally realizes that she doesn't need permission to be the woman that she was always meant to be. Let's talk about the woman many of us used to be. The woman who was always checking the room before checking herself. The woman who considered everyone else's feelings before ever considering her own. The woman who became an expert at making things easier and more comfortable for everyone else at all times. She was always expected to be responsible, dependable. She was the one people called for when they needed help. And sometimes that woman was a little exhausted because she was living a life built around keeping everybody else's life moving forward, happy, content, instead of creating that for herself. Maybe she asked for permission before making decisions. Not maybe, probably yes. She apologized before she even spoke. How many of us have done that? I'm sorry, but I wanted to say, and I think that. I'm so tired of that, aren't you? Apologizing before you even get a word out. Because we have all made ourselves smaller because someone else was uncomfortable with the light that's in us, our strength, our talents, our intelligence. And here's the thing, we're not weak women. We're women that survived. We adapted. We had to do the stop, drop, and roll and pivot in every situation at all times. We're women that learn how to navigate a world that often rewards women for being agreeable instead of authentic. And by reward, I mean allowing us to even exist. And eventually, something happens. Eventually, we all got tired of abandoning ourselves for everybody else's wants and needs and expectations. And eventually, I realized that the cost of being liked by everyone was losing myself and not having the ability or the autonomy to make decisions that I truly believed was good for me and that may not have been good for everybody else. And that was okay. I needed to learn that what's best for me is probably not going to be best for everyone around me. And And I had to understand that that's okay, because I definitely got pushback about that, believe me. And we all have our moment, don't we? A moment where the earth under us shifts, and it's usually after a relationship ends. Or maybe finally we just get to the point of being so disappointed and so downtrodden, even after years of putting everyone else's wants and needs first. And it feels like a very deep betrayal, because we've given and done everything for the people in our lives and the people around us to earn their love, their respect, their acceptance, and yes, their permission just to be. And then we turn around and we realize we don't recognize who we are. And it's definitely not who we'd like to be when we finally look at ourselves in the mirror after the lives we've been living for decades. Miserable, absolutely miserable. And for some women, that turning point is pretty dramatic. And it can also be really quiet and happen very slowly. And it could be the very first time that you finally just are just so done, so fed up that you say no. And you don't explain yourself. You're so tired of having to explain and justify everything that you say or do. And it's the first time you have probably chosen yourself without feeling the slightest twinge of guilt. It's the first time you realize that peace feels better than pretending. And it's probably the first time that you understand that being alone is a whole lot better than being with someone or a lot of someones who require you to completely disappear. And that moment is very powerful, because we all stop asking, what do they need me to be? And you start asking, who am I when nobody else is telling me who to be? When you stop asking for permission, you become dangerous in the best possible way for you. Not dangerous because you hurt others, dangerous because you can no longer be controlled by their acceptance or approval. You become the woman who stops explaining every single decision. You understand that people who benefit from your lack of boundaries are not going to celebrate your boundaries, and that's okay. Stop negotiating your worth. You're no longer going to beg someone to see your value. You know your value exists when someone recognizes it or not. Love should not require you to constantly abandon yourself. And you should stop waiting for the right time. There is not going to be a right time. The right time is now. No matter where now is in your life. Now is when you tell yourself, I'm ready. I'm ready to finally be free of all this. I'm giving myself permission to be free. So what does sovereignty really mean? It doesn't mean that you don't need anyone. It doesn't mean that you'll never ever struggle or face challenges. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have every single thing figured out. It just means that you belong to yourself, that your choices belong to you, your dreams belong to you, your voice belongs to you, and your future belongs to you. It means that you can love people deeply without losing yourself. It means that you can be compassionate without being controlled or manipulated. It means that you can be independent without being hardened. And it means that you can stand alone without feeling alone and incomplete. And being single is not the absence of a relationship. It's absolutely the presence of yourself. So these are the new rules that I live by. Ready? Maybe today is the day that you write your own rules. Let's see. Here are a few things for you to think about. Remind yourself maybe that I no longer ask for permission to protect my peace. I no longer apologize for growing or for wanting to grow. I no longer shrink so someone else feels bigger. I no longer confuse being needed with being loved. I no longer wait for someone else to validate what I already know about myself. I choose myself, not because I don't care about others, but because I finally am allowing myself to care about myself too. And before we end today's episode, I want you to ask yourself, where in your life are you still asking for permission? Where are you waiting for someone else to approve of the next chapter? Where are you afraid of disappointing others? And why is that scary for you? Why are you afraid of the disappointment? And what would happen if you really truly began to trust yourself? Trust your feelings, your emotions, and the decisions that you feel that are right for you. The truth is that the woman you become when you stop asking for permission is not a new woman. She's the woman who was there all along. She was just waiting for you to choose her. Thank you for spending this time with me on Solo and Sovereign. Remember, You were never meant to be someone's permission slip for their happiness. You were meant to build a life that feels like home and safety inside of yourself. Solo by choice, sovereign in your power. Until next time.
We really appreciate you hanging out with the two scrappy chicks today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share it with a friend. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know.